But first, the talking points memo. The Trump administration hits a wall. All right, so he's everywhere, and he's paying a price for it. His hands hurt. He's slashed over a little bit. He's tired. There has not been a president in modern history in the first 7 months who has tried to reform the government as much as Donald Trump has. That is a true historical statement. FDR would be second because he walked into the Great Depression. But half the country doesn't want reform. Half the country still supports the Democratic Party. They didn't want to change one thing other than raise taxes. Violence, okay with them. Ukraine war, nothing. Gaza, nothing. So the people who support the Democrats, and there are millions and millions of them, okay, they don't want to reform at all. So that Trump is up against that. But he doesn't really care. He made promises and he wants to keep them. But right now, he's stalled. Let me back it up. So you've got Ukraine, which Donald Trump thought he would solve very quickly. But Putin is not the same president that Trump dealt with 5 years ago. Putin now is a certified psychopath. He does not want to stop the killing. Very hard to negotiate with a person like that. China trade has stalled. This is huge. Xi playing a little bit of a game, waiting to see if Trump can get anything out of Putin. And finally, you got the Hamas situation. Just today, 2 Palestinians assassinated 6 innocent people in Israel. Just today, okay? And Hamas applauded it. You know, you anti-Israel people out there, if you don't see the evil coming out of Hamas and those terrorists, then don't read my book. There's nothing I can do for you. I opened the book with the October 7th attack just to put you in the middle of evil. But if you don't believe it at this point, forget about the book. Be a total waste of time for you. All right, so Trump is stalled on all 3 of those things right now. It frustrates him, okay? Then he's got the economy, which right now people are worried about. And I'll give you the poll numbers in a moment, but let me give you the economic numbers because they're very, very important. So unemployment in the USA is 4.3%, okay? 4 years ago under Biden, it was 4.8%. Inflation right now is 2.7%. 4 years ago, 5.4%. So obviously, the nation is better off now than it was 4 years ago under Biden. Not even debatable. But Trump promised, and this is why he got elected, all right, economic relief. Now, that's a little dicier. According to Reuters poll, and that Reuters is so-so, most Americans are worried. Do you approve of the way Donald Trump is handling employment and jobs? Approve 38, disapprove 51. That's not a good number for the president. Do I believe the number is accurate? Not really. But I do believe that Trump has got people are waiting to see, but they're not happy right now. I think that's accurate. CBS poll, again, questionable poll. Do you think the U.S. economy is getting better? 27%. Worse? 56%. That is a tough number. Staying the same, 17. Okay? So you are looking at, and by the way, I hate by the way, but in addition, that's a better phrase, November 24, after Trump was elected, getting worse was 42. It's now up to 56. Why? It's because of the grocery store, primarily. Gas prices in my neighborhood on Long Island, they're coming down a little bit. Okay, they're not as bad as they were under Biden. And you could see that the oil supply is rising. That I think will continue. But food prices, the truth is the grocery stores and restaurants do not want to drop these prices. And Trump can't force them. They don't want to drop them. Food companies don't want those prices going down. And that's really a tough problem. It's almost like Putin. So you're trying to deal rationally with these problems. Can't deal with an irrational man, Putin. Got to force him, okay? And the U.S. companies are going, I don't want to drop my prices. I'm getting it. People have to eat. So why do I want to drop them? The only way that happens is if competition steps in and some lower their prices, then the others almost have to do it. Very, very difficult. So at this point, the Trump administration has lost some momentum. However, next week, interest rates will probably be cut. That could provide a storm surge for Trump. I don't know if it will. Nobody can predict these things. The tariffs, a little bit further out, could go either way. And that's the memo. Joining us now is a economist who's, he's on it. He's a pro-Trump guy, Steve Moore. He's the co-founder of Unleash Prosperity. I get his stuff every day, and it's worth reading, that's for sure. In my analysis, am I making any mistakes, Mr. Moore?
Hi, Bill. Great to be with you. Thanks so much for having me on. Great admirer of yours. I think you got most of the story right. As a Trump guy, if I were a Trump political guy, I advise him a little bit on economics. I would be worried about those numbers. Now, remember, one thing that skews these numbers is that the country is, as you've reported and everyone knows, is so polarized today that Trump could start world peace. He could find a cure for cancer. He could create 10 million jobs, and still about half the country would still say they oppose him. Just as under Biden, half of the country was opposed to everything he was doing. So that's why I take a little bit of these polls with a grain of salt. But it is worrisome. You're right. And I think you diagnosed the problem well, that the biggest thing that people are concerned about, and I have a one-person sample, and that's my wife, who says every time I come home, you got to do something about grocery prices. And people are angry about it. And they went way up under Biden, and they've stayed high under Trump. So that is something people are very worried about because they go to the store, 2 or 3 or 4 times a week. Now, I would say that one thing is going to provide some big relief is what you mentioned at the end, which is energy prices. Gas prices are coming down, and many areas of the country were below $3 a gallon when they were as high as $5 a gallon a few years ago. So that's something that people pay attention to as well. And that is a result of Trump's drill baby drill policies. You increase the supply of something, the price goes down.
Okay. Is there anything that any president can do about lowering food prices? Or is it just the marketplace that has to do that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's the marketplace. One of the things that's really curious, Bill, and I don't have an answer to this, but I'll just raise it as an issue. Have you talked to farmers lately? They don't feel like they're doing very well. The farmers, they're complaining.
They always
And yet you've
complain.
got high. What's that?
They always complain.
Yeah.
I've never,
So
ever, and I love the farmers,
All
know,
right.
but
Well,
they
they're
always
feeling
complain.
strained now. And so you have prices at the grocery store are going up, and yet farmers are saying they're not doing any better. So where's the money going?
The transportation companies and the food companies. Food companies'
BP.
margin of profit, okay, the big food companies, it's up. They're not hurting. That's where the money's going. But I don't see, Nixon, as you know, and being an economic scholar, tried wage price controls. Disaster.
Didn't work.
Can't do it. So when Donald Trump says, I'm going to bring down food prices, he's raising expectations to a level that he can't meet. Am I wrong?
I don't think he should have said that. Yeah, what he should have said is, I'm going to stabilize food prices. And to a large extent, he has done that. I mean, look, the overall inflation rate in the economy, which had reached as high as 9% under Joe Biden, is now running at 2.6, 2.7%. That I'd like to see that down below 2.5%. I'd like to see it closer to 2%. But it's it's in a range that you can live with. Now, one thing to think about, if people are concerned about high prices, then is this the right time to be cutting interest rates? Because cutting interest rates puts more money in the economy. I'm a little nervous about that. When Trump says, let's cut interest rates by 200 basis points, be careful of what you wish for, Mr. President. You flood the economy with that much money. What is inflation? We learned this from Milton
Well,
Friedman.
he's
Inflation is too
hoping
many dollars chasing too few goods. So
but
putting a
he's
lot of new money
hoping
in the
that,
economy may not be a great idea.
but here's what he's hoping for. He's hoping that the interest rate cut will stimulate job creation and get the job market moving again so that people would be earning more money. That's what the tariff thing's all about. He wants the American people to earn more money because that's what happened in his first term. So that's why he's doing it. I don't oppose that. But here's the last question for you. This issue is everything for Donald Trump, far more than Ukraine and Gaza and even China. China is unbelievably serious. But this issue is coming to a head in the midterm elections. It's 14 months. And if the White House is not able to present a vastly improving economic situation, they risk losing Congress, one or both houses. That's the urgency.
Yeah. Well, I agree with what you just said. It is the economy, stupid. And I'm very bullish. You're talking to one of the most bullish guys out there. I like a lot what Trump is doing. Now, I'm not a big fan of the tariffs, but I like these trade deals. I think he's going to get a better deal with some of these countries. He's already gotten commitments of hundreds of billions of dollars. He says trillions, but I'm going to say hundreds of billions of dollars of new investment in the United States. That will create a lot of jobs. We have completely secured the border. We've got, down 94% in terms of illegal immigration. As I mentioned, low gas prices, a records to high stock market, and people are feeling, just better about stuff. So I think good times are here to come.
All right, Steve. For everybody, I hope you're right. It's not a political play. I want all Americans to have better lives, and you need money to do that. There's no doubt about it.